For your investments to succeed, you need a lot of insurance. You understood what I said? Okay, welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you a lot about insurance now and saying how having insurance makes sure that your investments succeed. Let's go a little back in time. Let's say my father started investing in the 1950s, maybe 57, 58, and I started investing in 85, 86, and then my daughter will start investing in say 2021, 22. Now for my daughter to be successful or for my father to be successful, the rules remain more or less same, except that for my father the rules would have been far more stringent than it would be for my daughter, because my dad was building up his own capital. He started off almost on zero, because even though he inherited something from his father, it was almost nothing, and it happened very late in life, right? So the question is, when my father started investing sometime in the late 50s, and what could have interrupted him? First of all, he may have done a very small amount. In today's prices, if you talk, it must have been 50 rupees a month or something like that, and that would have been considered a king's ransom, because the salary would have been 600, 700 rupees, and he would have got 50 rupees is what he would have saved, or something like that. So I'm not getting into the particular numbers. But what would have been the impediments to ensuring a clean investment happening and there being no interruptions? So first could have been a big medical expense for my, say, grandfather or grandmother. Those were the days when there was no great insurance or something available. Medical insurance was either not available or not thought necessary. So any such thing, a 50,000 rupee expense or a 30,000 rupee expense for my dad's dad or dad's mom would have set back the compounding by a few years, maybe a decade, because you put together, you paid taxes at the highest possible rates, 60%, 70% kind of rate. So very little was really available for investing. So first you did saving. You bought your house, you bought fans and lights and furnished the house, and those kind of expenses. So finding time and money for investing was really difficult in those days when salaries were not too high. Luckily, my father did not have any of those problems. He was not supporting his parents. He did not have to buy gold for a sister's wedding. He didn't have to do any of that stuff. So that was not a problem. He did not have to spend too much on day-to-day expenses. I mean, whatever was regular was what was being spent. He paid only for his portion of his expenses. He did not have to support his parents. Parents were self-supporting. They had their own. My grandfather had his own cash flow. He had a pension, so that was ensured. My father's own life did not have any interruptions in terms of illness or job change, job loss, any of those things. So to that extent, the cash flow was ensured, right? He was not forced into investing into any other class. My grandfather never forced him to buy a second house, third house, fourth house, right? Something like that. Nor was there pressure to say, oh, you have a daughter, you must buy gold. There was no such pressure to invest in any other asset class. I'm not even saying whether it was good or bad, so therefore that pressure was not there. So today you should have a good qualification and good job, so that in case your job is lost, you will find another job immediately or very quickly. Because not having a job for a long period of time can also impact your compounding, right? No natural calamity. Suppose you had a house built in Bhuj and the earthquake happened, so the whole thing fell off and you lost a lot of possessions, whether it was losing a fridge and a TV or things like that, and some other whatever jewelry you had at home, all that was lost in an earthquake. So the fact that none of this happened, so you have to ensure all this. You have to ensure cash flow continuously for this compounding machine. It's like going and telling a 23-year-old, oh, you have to invest only 15,000 per month, and he's looking at you like, are you from Mars? I've got student loan to repay, I want to buy myself a motorcycle, I want to do this, I want to do that. So retirement is the last thing in my mind, right? He just won't have the even ability to understand why should I start so early. But if somebody has seen compounding in the family and seen what it can do for your wealth over long periods of time, chances are you may not have to push too hard from in that family to say, oh, now you must invest, because it's the family trait. They have seen their grandfather do it, their father do it, their uncles do it. Everybody invests money regularly. So these kids think it is necessary and it is natural. But if you come from a family where investing is not a habit or never done or never discussed, just automatically some LIC premiums have been going. LIC premiums may be great, but LIC premiums are not investments. They are savings at best, because they are going into completely risk-free debt kind of instrument largely. Of course, LIC has equity portfolio. It's one of the biggest equity investors, but largely it is seen to be a debt instrument rather than to be seen as a equity instrument, right? So all ensuring cash flows at various stages, whether it is for your daughter's expense or for your sister's wedding, right? Making sure all that is available so that you do not interrupt the compounding process. You have started early. You make sure that what you inherit also keeps compounding, and all this money keeps compounding. That's all. As long as you can do that, you're done. You need not pick the winners, but you should not pick the losers. Now the question is, how often will you be able to make sure that you only pick the winners? That we will see later. Thank you.